I'd call this meeting to order. I think this is our third meeting of this session. Ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Representative Baker. Representative Blanton. Representative Bowling.
Here.
Representative Bridges. Representative Chester Burton. Representative Dossett.
Present.
Representative Flannery. Representative Fugate. Representative Hancock.
Here.
Representative Johnson.
Here.
Representative McCool.
Here.
Representative Miles. Representative Moore.
Here.
Representative Smith. Representative Watkins.
Present.
Representative Wesley. Representative Whitaker.
Here.
Representative Williams. Representative Bauman.
Present.
Representative White. And Chair Gooch.
Here.
You have a quorum.
We do have a quorum. Do any of the members have any special guests they would like to introduce or recognize? Great. Seeing none. We would like to start, I think, with House Bill 387. Representative Bauman. Co-chairman Bauman. Looks like you have reinforcements.
Yes, sir. I'm very
Please.
blessed.
Okay,
I have
please
two colleagues from Louisville here
introduce
today.
yourself and your guest.
My name is Jared Ballman, State Representative, District 28.
Emily Calloway, State District 37.
John Hodgson, Jefferson 36.
Okay, I think there's committee sub on this bill. Okay. There's a motion and a second on committee sub. All in favor say aye. All opposed by like sign. Okay, we are, from this point, debating the committee sub. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, members of the committee. I deeply appreciate the opportunity to present House Bill 387 to you this morning. I know with 814 bills filed this year, it's a privilege to be in front of you this morning. I do come asking for help and support for my constituents in Louisville, for all of our constituency in Louisville. 1 out of every 5 Kentuckians resides in Louisville, and they need our help today. They need our help because the amount that they are paying on their MSD utility bills has gone up over 400% over the last 20 years. And the people that I represent can no longer take on these punishing, consistent rate hikes from the utility. And so when I was elected in 2023, I began receiving messages and outreach from constituents to look at MSD in ways that we could help support the utility, but more important, support the ratepayer with some form of mechanism for oversight and accountability, which simply does not exist today for the Metropolitan Sewer District in Louisville. So I was compelled to act on the behalf of all Louisvillians and the areas that are covered in Oldham and Bullitt County as well to go after a form of oversight and accountability for the ratepayer. And we originally started with a mechanism for oversight as it relates to the rate increases. Every year that they would have to, the utility, seek the approval of Metro Council in Louisville for any rate increase that is over CPI. That part of the bill has come out due to some issues with some contracts in those adjoining counties, Oldham and Bullitt, and the bond rating that MSD needs to continue to operate. However, we are moving forward with the remainder of the bill that goes after oversight and accountability for expenditures within the district.
Motion on the bill.
Could we have a motion? Second? We have a motion and a second on the floor, but we do have some people that we've invited to speak. So do you, either of you need to say anything else, because we're going to have some more testimony? Okay. Okay, I think we have Mr. Tony Parrott with MSD. He's here. Welcome. Introduce yourself for the record, and the floor is yours.
Good morning. My name is Tony Parrott, and I'm the Executive Director of the Louisville Metropolitan Sewer District. Chairman Gooch, committee, thank you for an opportunity to give some comments about the MSD story and some of the comments on House Bill 387. This bill proposes to amend KR 76 to change the MSD board composition and restrict some of the organizational expenditures, including some that would impact all MSD employees and regulatory commitments. One thing that we want to let everybody know that MSD is a public utility. It is a public utility that provides services to over 800,000 people in Jefferson County, and it also provides 3 distinct utilities in one. There's wastewater in Jefferson County. There is stormwater and drainage as a separate utility in Jefferson County, and there is a flood protection system in Jefferson County. The operation and maintenance of the flood protection system that we do includes 16 large pump stations that date back to the 1950s and 26 miles of flood wall, and protects residents of approximately 200,000 people. A lot of folks may recognize, based on the evidence of the events over the last 2 weeks, a major rain event and localized flooding and the activation of the flood protection system is a very vital asset and a very vital utility for the city of Louisville. During that rain event and during the Ohio River, we pumped out over 4.6 billion gallons out of the city of Louisville and protected the city from flooding over the last couple of weeks. In addition, because some of the rivers and creeks that are our watersheds cross jurisdictional boundaries, MSD also provides wastewater services to small portions of Bullitt and Oldham counties, which allows for a better regional approach to watershed management. That regional approach was actually enabled by legislation adopted by this legislative body back in 2018. One thing that I think was mentioned earlier was the lack of governance and accountability. The facts are that while MSD has a board of directors, we also interact with Louisville Metro Council in multiple ways. First, MSD presents our bond resolutions for approval to Metro Council each year. Most of those bond resolutions are to fund our capital program, which is driven by a federal consent decree and state orders that we've entered into with the state of Kentucky. Most of the rate increases that was mentioned by Representative Bauman, 90% of our capital costs is driven by federal and state mandates. We have to be able to do the projects that are mandated by the federal government and by the state. Second, MSD also provides a notice to Louisville Mayor and Metro Council every year about our proposed rates and explains the reason for the rates, the debt picture, and an overview of capital budget program, and details how the public can comment on the plan. When we talk about impacts on rates, we recognize that affordability is a critical issue as we go forward. And we also know that not only the existing orders that we have with the state and the federal government, there's going to be future regulations that come down the pike that's going to impact rates in the future. We currently have a customer assistance program to help folks be able to afford their rates and their bills. For example, we have an emergency wastewater rate assistance program that provides a 30% discount to customers that qualify. There's also a payment plan option with our peer utility, Louisville Water, that folks can participate in. And we also have a senior citizen discount program for those that are over 65, where they get a 30% discount in their bill, provided that their annual income is below $35,000 a year. We fund those programs at about $1.9 million each year, and it benefits approximately 9,000 residents and account holders in our system. We recognize the importance of affordability. We recognize the importance to partner with Louisville Metro government. We do that every year because we provide service to Louisville Metro government, and we partner with them by providing oversight for the hazardous material and floodplain ordinance of the city. House Bill 387 seeks to restrict our ability to advertise, which is problematic in a lot of areas because we are required to advertise for bids, post legal notices, satisfy our public outreach, and also components of our consent decrees with the federal government and with the Air Pollution Control District. We use it to educate customers about what not to flush. You've probably heard about fats, oils, and greases, or fatbergs that are showing up in sewers across the state and across the country, and we need to educate folks on how that impacts the operation of our system. As far as our workforce, we have a very complex utility, and we have a need to make sure that everything that we do regarding the operation and the accountability is established by the board and our board policies that were thoroughly established subsequent to a 2011 state audit that brought about issues, and the board that we have is responsible for the oversight of those policies, and everything that we do and we bring before the board, and it is approved in open public session. We strive to be an employer of purpose. It is critical that we retain and recruit talent with the benefits consistent in the utility sector, and we have to be competitive, not only with our sister utilities in the state and the region, but also in the private sector as well. As is global practice, we are involved in a lot of different industry and professional organizations that will give us an opportunity to enhance our certifications and our education in the water professional field. We also work with groups like the National Association of Clean Water Agencies to advocate for laws or funding to help support anything that we have to do for local ratepayers. In the last 5 years, we have received approximately $231 million in alternative funding and $49 million in grants with our work there. We have been focused on all of this. When you think about our employees and the talent, we evaluate all of the compensation levels of our employees. We started a compensation in 2017 with a third-party Mercer Group in Louisville. And as it's consistent with our accountability and our governance practices, all recommendations are presented to the board and approved in open session. So I'll close with just saying I've been in the water profession 35 years, and I've worked in all levels of the profession, and it brings me great pride to lead this organization because it's it's an organization full of talented employees that genuinely care about the community, the environment, and we appreciate the opportunity to share this with you today. And we would encourage consideration of the complexity of the 3 different utilities that we own and operate, and appreciate your support in allowing us to maintain our ability to recruit and retain talented individuals, whether they're scientists, engineers, lawyers, biologists, maintenance folks. We have to be able to have the people to operate our system 24/7, 365 days a year. And we need to be able to operate these critical assets that protect not only 19,000 businesses in our community, but 550,000 jobs in our community, and also make sure that we are keeping the community safe and the waterways clean. and providing safe, clean waterways. So thank you, Chairman Gooch.
Thank you, Mr. Parrott. So in essence, you're operating a sanitary sewer system and I guess a storm water runoff sewer system. Now, it's pretty easy to put meters on the sanitary side, I guess, and bill the customers for that. How do you fund the storm sewer side?
The storm sewer side is more based upon what we would call an ERU tiered system. For example, there's a fee for like a standard residential for that, and then, there's also a standard fee for commercial and industrial, and it's usually based upon the square footage of a property. And we calculate that based upon that, an ESU calculation, but that's how we calculate the stormwater and drainage fee. And then, of course, the wastewater is really based mostly on the billing from the water meter. And then the flood protection system is something that is a separate asset.
Right, okay. I know that, of course, you probably hope that those two don't really meet very often. I know as a former mayor of a town, we had a real problem with our sewer system was so old that we had lots of infiltration from water, high water events or stream weather, and many times that would actually overwhelm our treatment facility, and not a good problem to have, and I'm sure that you don't really have that problem, or at least I hope that you do not. I think Representative Baumann may have a question for you.
Absolutely.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Parrott, for coming today to testify before our committee. I would like to thank you and your entire team for the exemplary efforts that you guys put forward last week when we had the rain event. You guys did an excellent job, and we all deeply appreciate that, so thank you. I do have some questions, though, related to the policy itself. I have requested from MSD some data as it relates to what we've outlined in the bill as far as what we're prohibiting in those expenditures. And so I'm curious, Mr. Parrott, as to how much money MSD has spent within those different categories over the last 5 years. And I can read those categories off to you, or if you have the bill in front of you, I won't do that. But how much spend has MSD had in those categories over the last 5 years?
Well, obviously, when I look at the bill and I look at the different categories that are in there, obviously I don't have the 5-year number with me. We just got your records request this morning.
Yes, sir.
But I do tell you, based upon our last fiscal year budget, one of the things that is written in the bill is bonuses. We don't pay bonuses. But if everything else, when you think about advertising, Vehicle Alliance, professional industry memberships, and sponsorships, it's approximately $500,000
Okay.
for fiscal year '24.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's all.
Okay. We have a couple of questions. Representative Watkins, you signaled earlier, did you have any questions?
I do, Mr. Chairman. Probably more so for the sponsor, but I do also have for the guest, if that's
Well,
possible.
go ahead, that's fine.
Okay, thank you. And please let me know if I'm out of order with the amount of them. Thank you, Mr. Parrott, for coming today and explaining MSD and its scope of work and services. I am a representative from Louisville as well.
Right.
And so, like my colleagues, I too have heard complaints and such around the costs that my constituents are bearing. But I would say that my constituents are complaining about the cost of living in general. They complain about water bills, they complain about MSD, they complain about the price of eggs.
Right.
And so that's something that I take seriously. Specific to some of the provisions in the bill, I understand that the provisions were taken out that I guess would cap, for lack of better words, any rate increases that would conflict with bond ratings or whatnot. But I still, I'm attempting to understand this 90% of capital costs are mandated essentially by federal and or from the federal and the state government. And so if the large majority of your rate increases are sort of correlated to those mandates, I don't see how this bill will do anything to protect or prevent the increase of rates to my constituents if you have to do what you're being mandated to do from the federal and state. Is that correct? Or
Yeah, I think that you are correct. And, one of the things that we communicated to the Louisville delegation back in October when we had a 3-hour session with them was the extent of why rates are going up is driven by our capital program. And, our current consent decree is amended and runs through 2035. And we also have agreed orders with the state of Kentucky to do work not only in Jefferson County, but in Bullock County and Oldham County as well. That is work we have to do. And, if we don't have grant funds from the state or the federal government, the brunt of those orders fall on the local ratepayers.
Mr. Chairman, may I continue with a follow-up?
Yes.
When you say capital projects, can you
Yes, sir.
give me an example of that? For example, in the western part of my district, affectionately known as the West End, there's the California neighborhood. I know very well about those that consent decree particularly because it impacted a part of my district that floods consistently. So could you give me an idea of that and then tie that into the age of Louisville's infrastructure, which
Right.
is crumbling all around us, I
Right.
believe?
Yeah. Well, I can tell you, I'll start with the age of the infrastructure. And when you think about the infrastructure that's inside the Watterson, that is a combined sewer system that dates back to the 1800s. And so one of the challenges of an aging infrastructure is back then it was emerging technology to build a sewer that would take on stormwater and sanitary waste simultaneously. And then when it rains, it would overflow into local rivers and streams. Fast forward today, after the enaction of the Clean Water Act in 1972, we have to eliminate those overflows. And so that is the reason for a lot of communities, including 9 in Kentucky, combined sewer communities that have federal consent decrees. And so when you think about West Louisville, obviously the flood protection system is very vital for West Louisville. We have a project there. We have 16 major flood pump stations on our flood protection system. Patty's Run, which is in that part of the community, is one project that we're doing right now to replace and enhance that flood protection system. And that
Excuse
one
me,
project alone is $240 million.
I'm not sure that this really actually is applicable to the
Right.
committee substitute.
Yeah,
So
gotcha.
we want to keep,
Yeah.
we got another meeting in this room at 10.
Sure.
So I've got some
Sure.
more of the bills to do, so.
Sure.
Representative Wykus, did you want to ask the original sponsors a question?
Just one, Mr. Chair, and I'll be brief.
Okay, let's let them come back down, and we do need to be brief, so I appreciate your doing that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll do it in under 30 seconds.
Well, the answer under 30, though.
I think so. I do appreciate this, and I'll be brief, as the chairman mentioned, just for the sake of time. Hearing the testimony, I want to drill into this funding exclusions, particularly for advertising. And in the bill, it says, except for recruitment of personnel or volunteers. But I don't see anything in here that makes an exemption for public notices, public education materials, or anything about some of the programs that would save our ratepayers money, particularly seniors, or any programs of that nature. Are you interested or open to maybe adjusting this potentially to allow for those advertisements?
Representative, I deeply appreciate the question, sir, and I believe you may not be looking at the committee sub because that is in there, sir. Those protections, we did change that in the sub to provide for those protections. We do not want any unintended consequences there for sure. We want
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other, Jason?
Yeah, I want to just mention, if I could, by way of a global comment, a lot of the consternation that the head of MSD, who's a friend and who I think has got a big job, a very difficult job, and on the whole, I think they're doing a pretty good job. A lot of that had to do with the section that we took out from the committee sub. The catalyst to this bill, I want to be really clear. The catalyst to this bill, they've raised our rates to the maximum level without having requiring legislative approval for a number of years, and they think they have to do that for a number of years in the future. We took that portion out that dealt with that. We'll have a more thoughtful approach maybe next year. But the catalyst to this is while they're raising our rates at the highest level, their top guy got a 16% raise. I've never said anything about MSD because I understand the difficulties there are. But when they gave their top guy a 16% raise, while looking my folks in the eyes saying we're going to raise it maximum, that was the red flag that we have to respond to, and that's what we're doing here today.
Representative McCool, did you have a question for this group?
Whoever wants to address it, be fine.
Okay, go ahead. Proceed.
You're talking about the rates, the charge for the customer. I'm always interested in seeing the beyond the cost of the services. Are there fees and taxes applied to individual bills that not related to the services provided by the?
Thank you for the question, Representative. And yes, there are fees. I know folks that don't even take the water service still receive a bill from MSD for the fee associated with the consent decree. So I've had a number of constituents reach out to me about that as well. And there may be other fees that the MSD folks could speak to, or if these folks know of any. But I do know of that one.
But not relevant to this bill doesn't address that.
Okay. Any other questions?
Chairman, if I might.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
So I do represent the most southern portion of Jefferson County and the most northern portion of Bullitt County. And so I do bring a unique perspective to MSD. MSD does provide roughly $42,000 residents with wastewater treatment. And so I really want to recognize the sponsor and his work on this for bringing our voice to the table. That is a big part of this bill, is bringing a voice from Oldham and Bullitt to the table. And with respect to our local municipalities, the setup, so our judge will appoint with approval by the fiscal court. So I appreciate, being able to bring that insight to this table, to this bill, and to the board, so that the unique contracts that were entered into by our separate counties will be respected going forward. And we do have big projects. We do have improvements in Bullitt County, obviously, since MSD came in. So I do want to give accolades where accolades are due. MSD has come to the table every single time I've had an issue. They have been very helpful within the community to spread awareness. What an issue that I specifically have heard from constituents. There are still some sewage issues. That's unacceptable, but that is being addressed. But also blatant use of funding, and we talk about advertising. But sitting at a U of L game and seeing MSD on the board, in high visual cost area is not informative, and it's, in my constituents' perspective, is not spending money well. So we just want to make sure that there is some accountability, that our people have a voice at the table. So I do want to thank the sponsor for that, making sure that our counties were included.
Okay. Any other question? Any other members at the table have a comment? And if not, yes, he called for the question. We have a motion and a second. Ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Representative Baker? Yes. Representative Bauman?
Aye.
Representative Blanton?
Aye.
Representative Bowling? Yes. Representative Bridges? Yes. Representative Chester Burton? Representative Dossett?
Yes.
Representative Flannery? Yes. Representative Fugate?
Yes.
Representative Hancock?
Pass.
Representative Johnson?
Yes.
Representative McCool?
Yes.
Representative Miles? Representative Moore?
Pass.
Representative Smith? Yes. Representative Watkins?
Pass.
Representative Wesley? Representative Whitaker?
Yes.
Representative White? Yes. Representative Williams?
Yes.
And Chair Gooch.
Yes. Bill does pass. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
As we said, we're kind of running close on time, so we're gonna jump to House Concurrent Resolution 22. Representative Bridges. Yes. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you, committee,
Is
for.
your mic on?
I'm a little hoarse this morning.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
All right.
I want to thank you, Mr. Chair, and the committee for allowing me to present this HCR 22 this morning.
We do have a committee sub.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do we have a motion on committee sub? Motion to second? Second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the like sign. Okay, go proceed, Representative Bridges.
Okay, I'll try to make this as brief as possible. As everyone knows, we do have an energy crunch not only in the Commonwealth but in the entire nation, and there are new technologies available that's taking place. This HCR 20 does a number of things, but you've got the committee sub. We did add one thing I want to point to your attention, and I appreciate the help of the sponsor. We added where we are using, in Kentucky, we have the ability to use nuclear waste, uranium tails spent, and the ability to use that, and that makes it even cleaner.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on the bill. Any other questions? Clerk, call the roll, please.
Representative Baker, Representative Ballman.
Yes.
Representative Blanton,
Briefly explain my answer.
Yes.
I vote aye. Folks, we have to take a good hard look at this. We need to be using some of this nuclear as part of our portfolio in Kentucky. As coal usage has shrank, we got to find clean, dependent, cheaper energy, and I think this is our pathway forward. Thank you for bringing this, Representative Bridges.
Representative Bowling. Yes. Representative Bridges,
Yes.
Representative Chester Burton, Representative Dossett,
Yes.
Representative Flannery,
Yes.
Representative Fugate,
Yes.
Representative Hancock,
Yes.
Representative Johnson,
Yes.
Representative McCool,
Yes.
Representative Miles, Representative Moore,
Yes.
Representative Smith, Representative Watkins,
Briefly explain my vote.
Yes, go ahead.
I think this is interesting. I'd like to see a feasibility study. I'll pass until then. Okay, thanks.
Representative Wesley, Representative Whitaker,
Yes.
Representative White, Representative Williams,
Vote. I'm a yes today, but I want everybody to, just as Representative Blanton brought up, we don't have enough power in the state of Kentucky, and it's going to get worse in the future. And oftentimes, nuclear gets left off the clean tab. We like to say there's the only thing clean is wind and solar, and it's a clean energy and it's a great base load, and emphatically support it today. Thank you.
and Chair Gooch.
I will explain my vote. When the sponsor originally brought this to me, his initial, I guess, request was that we actually declare nuclear energy a clean energy. And our discussion centered to the fact that I told him that I did agree that nuclear emissions are carbon-free. I do agree that nuclear energy is needed. It's baseload generation. It has a fuel source on site. It's something that we need to be using. The problem is not this legislature. The problem is that the regulators have not and don't seem to be willing to issue the permits to allow a lot of these projects to go forward. And we can't do that. We've been putting this off. 10 years ago, we were saying it's going to take 10 or 15 years to even build one of these facilities. We're 10 years down the road now, and we're not even any closer. So with that, I do agree that this new aspect of being able to reuse the spent fuel rods, refurbish them, whatever that we're doing, is cleaning up a prior problem that's existed with the long-term effects of nuclear waste. And so I do agree that this resolution is cleaner, and it's something that's definitely needed, and so therefore I vote aye. Okay, it does pass. Thank you very much.
Okay, one brief comment.
Certainly.
Mr. Chair. Due to time and brevity, I've tried to get it down, but I do want to say that just as of 2 weeks ago, the new Secretary of Nuclear, Chris White, declared that this is an avenue that the new administration is very heavily involved in and interested in, and also the new. I've served on the nuclear NCSL's nuclear for the last 3 years, and the
technological advances taking place, the safety, all of that with the SMRs is absolutely amazing. Once it gets proven, this does not carry the weight of law, but what this resolution does, being a concurrent resolution, we're sending it over to the Senate. Senator Carroll's going to help me there. It just tells the world that Kentucky is open to the idea of entertaining nuclear energy, and we're open for business. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, committee.
Appreciate it. Okay, finally, we're going to take up House Bill 519. As I said earlier, we do have, someone has to have this room at 10 o'clock. We will take a vote on this bill if there's a motion and a second at 7 minutes till. So, Representative Fugit, please introduce yourself for the record and proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chris Fugit, State Representative, 84th District. Thank you to the committee and chairman for listening to House Bill 519. Just real quick, in the last few years, we have seen our electricity rates go from 4.2 cents per kilowatt to approximately 14 cents per kilowatt hour. According to the Governor's Office of Coal and Energy Policy, in 1988, 31,500 coal miners were in Kentucky. Currently, we're on approximately 4,000 coal miners. While we were using the coal generation plant, we were third in the nation utility cost. Now we're approximately 28 to 30 in the United States. The purpose of this bill is just basically, Mr. Chairman, is our people in East Kentucky cannot afford electricity rates. I've got a grandma that raises 7 kids. She got a 28 by 28 house. Her electric rate was her electric bill last month was $693. I got a 75-year-old man in our church. His electricity last month was $723. 80-year-old lady living on $900 a month. Her rent is $300 a month, and her electric rate was $613. The purpose of this bill, besides the electrical rate, when they tore down the coal-fired plant, the Big Sandy plant, the demolition for that plant was put on the ratepayers. So in addition to our electrical rate, we have to pay for the demolition of a coal-fired plant that the investors or the company chose to tear down. In my opinion, that's not fair. American Electric Power, according to their website, their gross profit last year was $13.7 billion. In 23, it was $12.4 billion. In 22, it was $12.5 billion. What this legislation says is if a company, a utility, decides to tear down or go away from coal-fired generation or fossil fuel generation, then the cost of the demolition for those plants cannot be passed on to the ratepayers. The Public Service Commission shall not be able to pass that on to the ratepayers in form of rate, and that's what the bill does.
Motion on the bill.
A motion and a second. Do we have any questions? Does the cabinet or anyone want to speak on this bill? Because I assume not. Okay. With no questions, I ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Representative Baker? Yes. Representative Ballman? Aye. Representative Blanton?
Aye.
Representative Bowling? Yes. Representative Bridges? Yes. Representative Chester Burton?
Yes.
Representative Dossett?
Yes.
Representative Flannery? Representative Fugate?
Yes.
Representative Hancock?
Yes.
Representative Johnson?
Yes.
Representative McCool?
Yes.
Representative Miles? Representative Moore?
Yes.
Representative Smith?
Quickly explain my vote, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the sponsor on this and appreciate his battle with these coal-fired generators. Just real quick, briefly for the members on the committee. Last month, we experienced in our co-op a service rate increase on a service charge from 5% to 19% in 1 month. This is during this Arctic blast, so we had the highest usage, and it actually devastated my community. I asked for an answer. I was given a confidential paper that gave the same explanation I could have got off Google. We're going to have to be more aggressive. We've got to bring these people in, just like we did there with the Louisville utilities. We need to start having answers for our constituents. We have to take on the battle here as a committee, and we have to pay attention. And real quick, Mr. Chairman, we all heard the testimony from the grid manager that we are entering in the next few years a supply and demand issue of having a supply of electorate and the demand passing it. So again, I appreciate the sponsor, and I'm a yes.
Representative Watkins,
Yes.
Representative Wesley, Representative Whitaker,
Yes.
Representative White, Representative Williams, and Chair Gooch.
Yes. Bill does pass with favorable expression, that the same should pass on the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Any other members have anything you want to bring before the committee? Let me say that for these first three meetings, I've kind of done some bills that didn't think were as controversial or that would take as long. I would expect that the bills that we'll take up from here will probably be a little more maybe controversial. There'll be probably a little bit longer debate. And we will continue to have the 24-hour rule so that you'll have any committee substitutes or committee amendments or anything 24 hours in advance. You'll have well, when I say 24 hours, I mean the day before. We were a little bit late getting the agenda out to you this week, but it was because we were waiting on a bill that had not been referred to the committee yet, and so we did not take up that bill today, but it was on the agenda. We do have a couple of rules that I want to thank everybody in the audience for being so respectful, so attentive, and moving forward, we also have a rule that says that no signs are allowed in the committee, so if there is an issue, we will not allow any signs unless those signs say, "I love the chairman." But anyway,